Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election held in Nigeria on February 25, 2023, and the results controversially announced on March 1st, 2023. And that controversial result is being challenged at the courts. It had moved from the Court of Appeal, which is the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, and has now moved to the Supreme Court. Now, while Nigerians are fixated on what will be the outcome of the Supreme Court verdict, the issue about Tinubu certificates is a gift that keeps giving, especially the information coming out from the courts in the United States. This is because you know that one of the grounds in which Atiku Abubakar wants Tinubu to be disqualified from the election was the issue of allegation of forgery of certificate. Now, Atiku Abubakar and his lawyers and many people were shocked about the outcome of what happened at the court in Chicago, in the northern district of Illinois, on Tuesday, when the lawyer representing the Chicago State University denied knowledge of the certificate of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which he submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission in order for him to qualify to run for the office, or as part of his documentation for the office. The Chicago State University that Tinubu said he attended made a vote face. Because remember, in previous sitting day, they say he was their student and all that. But in this case, on Tuesday, they denied that particular certificate that Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission. They said they know nothing about it. Now, this thing happened before Judge Jeffrey Gilbert in Chicago. That was where, in the presence of this judge, that Chicago State University lawyer Michael Hayes categorically stated that the school was not in a position to authenticate the certificate. That they are not in a position to authenticate. The school is the authority that issues certificates, say that they cannot authenticate that particular certificate that Tinubu submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, this is huge. Because if they cannot authenticate it, it means they are casting doubt on its validity. And if that is the case, it is a strong ground for disqualification. Because what the university has done is not being sure of its own record, of its own product. They cannot vouch for it. And it's interesting what happened at the court from the information that filtered out from that court. So it is a huge development. The media, the mainstream media are not talking about it. Of course, they will not talk about it. But it will hit them like a thunderbolt. If eventually, at the end of the day, these people were able to say that they cannot authenticate it and sign it out. Because what Atiku wants is for them to authenticate the certificate. Now they cannot authenticate it, which means the thing is moving to the direction Atiku is looking for. But let us understand what really played out. Now, before Judge Jeffrey Gilbert in Chicago, the the Chicago State University lawyer Michael Hayes categorically stated that the school was not in a position to authenticate Tinubu's certificate as either fake or genuine. Now, this development contradicts the school's previous assertions that it issued a certificate to Tinubu in 1979. So that is why the whole thing is curious. What is the matter that 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 the Chicago State University is running from? That they cannot be able to categorically vouch for the certificates one of his students, who is now a president of a country, is holding. He cannot authenticate it. That is casting serious doubt on it. In a decent country, that is enough evidence. That is enough evidence. Because what they did has now override their previous acknowledgement that he was their student. Yes, he was their student. They have his record that he was admitted, that he attended school, class, and all that. But they can't vouch for the certificate that was presented to INEC, and they cannot present authentic one to show that the one he was parading is not the right one or the other. They want to stay out of the controversy. Why? But that is not the issue. The issue is that by the university casting doubt over it, it means that its authenticity is doubtful. So the Supreme Court have to look at this matter very well. If the university keep on insisting that they cannot authenticate the certificate, what does that mean to any reasonable person? So it's an interesting development that people should pay attention, but people are not paying attention. The media are not talking about it. It is not on the headlines. Of course, some of us, we understand why. The mainstream media don't want to talk about it. But thank God for channels like this where we talk about it and discuss it so that we can interact about it, because it's in the interest of our country that it's talked about. Now, the denial of this certificate by the courts, by the university, now has override their previous admission that he was their student. Somebody can be you can have a record of having attended a school or being there. You attended lecture, people knows you. But do you have the certificate? I know in those days in the university there are some people who are perpetual students. You can see them, you know that they are students. But all their mates have graduated. They are there. So if somebody like that come out and say, and his record is that, you say he has a record, he passed out from the school. But what of the certificate? Can the university vouch for it? So that is what is playing out here now. Now, look at what the lawyer Hayes said about this. He said, when he was asked about this, whether he can authenticate, whether the university authority or administrators can authenticate the certificate of Tinubu, and he said, is the diploma authentic or is it forgery? My client can't answer yes to either of those questions. Mr. Hayes said at the hearing in Chicago. He said his client cannot be able to say yes to either of those questions, whether the diploma is authentic or is forgery. Which university does that? Should be able to know what is authentic and what is not. So by casting doubt on that certificate, I think that is enough to show that that certificate has scale leg, if I may borrow that word from Obasanjo. So it's enough ground for Atiku Abubakar to claim at the Supreme Court that certificate was forged, and then listen to what the Supreme Court will say. Because the issuing authority now is saying that I cannot authenticate what is there. I cannot authenticate the certificate. It's just like what used to happen in Nigerian universities, where they used to carry out authentication of secondary schools, GCE and SSCE certificate to ensure that nobody got admission with a fake certificate. Imagine sending the list of sending certificate to WAEC office, and WAEC say you cannot authenticate the certificate. What would the university do? They will withdraw the admission. Because if the issuing authority, WAEC, say they cannot authenticate, then what are you talking about? So it is a very interesting development that's supposed to capture the headlines, but unfortunately it doesn't. But that doesn't mean it's not important, because by the time Atiku gets what he's looking for, and this particular situation where the university cannot authenticate the certificate, if they can put it in writing for him, I think the Supreme Court should be able to respect that right. If the university can put it in writing. Because right now, the university said that they cannot swear under oath. Because the issue is that the judge was asking the lawyer, can the administrators swear under oath that this certificate that Tinubu presented to INEC, that it is authentic? That is where the lawyer said that the administrators cannot authenticate that. They cannot vouch for what they do not know. That's what they are saying. Which means they themselves are at loss on where the certificate came from. Because if they are sure it came from them, why would they not authenticate it? So it's a very interesting development. Now, the lawyer said that if the school administrators are asked under oath to authenticate the results of Tinubu, he said that they won't be able to certify that. They won't be able to do that. Because according to him, his word, he said, because they just don't know where he obtained it. That is what the university said. He said, I'm quoting what the lawyer said. He said, because they just don't know where he obtained it or how. They don't know where he obtained it and how. That is why they cannot authenticate it. So this, the lawyer of the Chicago State University, he was responding to the judge's inquiry into the school's ability to confirm under oath that Tinubu was issued the certificate he tendered to the Nigeria's Electoral Office as part of his final eligibility paperwork in June 2022. So you can see A very big case is building up. Nigerians are not talking about it. Well, maybe Nigerians will be taken by surprise when the Supreme Court will accept the fact that the university cannot authenticate that document. And we know what it means in our laws when the university, when the authority that should authenticate cannot authenticate. You know what it means. Because it's a common knowledge that it is against the Nigerian constitution to submit dubious documents to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Because we are all aware that many politicians, governors, National Assembly members, they have lost their seats, they have lost their offices because of such infraction as forged certificate that cannot be authenticated. When a certificate cannot be authenticated, what does it mean? It means it's forgery. When they say it cannot be authenticated, that's it is a mild way of saying it, so not to talk about forgery. He said we cannot authenticate it. When you cannot authenticate, it means you are believing that it is forgery. It didn't come from you. And this lawyer, Mr. Hayes, he insisted that Chicago State University law record showed that Tinubu attended the school. He insisted on that, but admitted that there were several contradictions that the school administrators won't be able to clarify under oath. He said, yes, we have seen record of him, but this certificate, we cannot authenticate it. And those discrepancies he was talking about include the June 12, 1977 date that Tinubu certificate carried, as well as the school's president at the time the certificate was obtained, and the typographical font and header errors on the document. These are the things that the lawyer looked at. He said, look, we cannot authenticate this. My clients will not authenticate this. We can't authenticate it under oath, because when you authenticate it under oath and they found that it was discovered to be false, there are consequences. I think that the consequences are the things they are running away from. That's why they don't want to authenticate what they are not sure of. Okay? So that is an interesting development. Recall that on June 12, 2022, Tinubu submitted a certificate to the INEC that was purportedly issued in 1979 and signed by Alnora Daniel. The certificate was signed by Alnora Daniel, but Miss Daniel only arrived at Chicago State University in 1998 from Hampton University, 19 years after Tinubu was said to have graduated. So how did this woman who came to that school 19 years after Tinubu's graduation was the one that signed the certificate? And she then left the school in 2008 following a financial mismanagement scandal, or 14 years before June 2022, when Chicago State University issued yet a fresh certificate in Tinubu's name under the subpoena from a Nigerian lawyer who had inquired about Tinubu's education there. So it is this contradiction that took Atiku Abubakar to the United States. He wants to get at the root of it. And that is why he wants to compel Chicago State University to release Tinubu's academic record. But Tinubu quickly went and blocked him and blocked the university from doing that. But what is coming out already is an indication that all is not well in the case of this certificate saga in Chicago. All is not well. If the Supreme Court can do the needful, if they can look at this matter from the perspective of this denial by the university of that certificate, it could be the game changer. It could be the smoking gun that could nullify Tinubu's election. And it will not be anything different from what happened to the nullification of Bayelsa State governor-elect election, about certificate discrepancy. In that of the Bayelsa, it was the deputy governor that there was discrepancies in his certificate, and the Supreme Court to nullify the election. So something is brewing. Something is brewing. I know that a lot of people will say, "Oh, this is Nigeria. Forget about it. Nobody's. It's not. It wouldn't matter anymore. It won't matter. Nothing will happen." Well, if the Supreme Court did not do anything about it, but at least let it be on record that the certificate was denied, and then the Supreme Court of Nigeria turned a blind eye. The same Supreme Court that have nullified several elections of governors, House of Reps, senators, turned a blind eye. It will be a wound in their moral, in their conscience, the justices that will tolerate that. If this denial is sustained by that court, and they can put it in writing and as evidence that they cannot authenticate this certificate, it should be enough to be the biggest game changer at the Supreme Court, among other things. Because as someone like me, I still believe that 25% in Abuja, the forfeiture matter, there is enough ground for the Supreme Court to nullify the election on that ground, because the Supreme Court have already ruled on all those before, unless they are going to reverse themselves. Okay? But at least Nigerians will see them for what they are, that they reverse themselves, what they believe in, what they say that 25% in Abuja was in 2008, they have changed their mind in 2023. What they said about forfeiture in 2014, they have changed their mind in 2023. What they said about forgery in 2020, in the case of Bayelsa, they have changed their mind in 2023. It will be recorded for them for posterity forever. So that shouldn't be of concern to anyone. What is important is making sure that the Supreme Court accepts this document when Atiku brings it from US. Because what Atiku is struggling now is to be able to bring it at a time it will be admissible by the Supreme Court. Now, if it is that alone that Atiku leaves America with, that denial of this certificate, it could be a game changer. Could be a game changer that will upturn the election. It could be a game changer. Now, the lawyer of Atiku Abubakar, Alexandra de Gamont, who appeared in court for Atiku Abubakar, said that the documents and the positions that they need it for at the Supreme Court in Nigeria, where the final battle is now taking shape. So they want it urgently. They want it to be addressed. Because according to the lawyer of Atiku Abubakar, what he told the justice, uh, Justice Gilbert, he said that the Nigerian Court of Appeal upheld Tinubu's election in its September 6th ruling because the panel did not have Chicago State University's position on the authenticity of the certificate, which means Chicago State University's position is the game changer in terms of the issue of this certificate forgery. Chicago State University hold the ace. If they can sign on to the fact that this certificate they cannot vouch for it, I think that is enough. Because what it means that they are saying that it's forged. It is for they cannot be speaking through both sides of their mouths. Because if you are an issuing authority, you know what your certificate look like. You are the one that can have authenticating machine that you can go and run your certificate through and find out where it originated from. If it is not from you, you will know. So by their denial of this certificate, they have confirmed that it is forged. That's what it means. That's my interpretation of it. Another person may have another interpretation, but that is my understanding of if somebody who is an issuing authority say that I cannot authenticate whether this is what I issued to you. You know, it's not rocket science for you to know that the person has rejected that he's the one that gave you that certificate. So the article's lawyer is literally begging the judge to cause the university to authenticate one way or the other the certificate. Okay. So uh, it is a very good development. It's an interesting development, to be frank. Some people may dismiss it as it doesn't really matter, having passed through the appeal court, that the Supreme Court is going to play along with with their what the tribunal said. No, it's not like that. We have seen cases in this country where somebody was cleared at the High Court, cleared at the appeal court, and at the Supreme Court, the election was upturned. I don't have to give you instances here. And I have done a video before where I showed people that the appeal court justices or the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal justices may have washed their hand out of the matter, leaving the big job for the Supreme Court to do. Because it would have been very, very interesting. It would have been a threat to their own career if the justices of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal had annulled Tinubu's election on Wednesday, September 6th. And then when the thing get to the court, to the Supreme Court now sustained Tinubu. It means that their career progression will be under threat. Because Tinubu will do everything possible to make sure that they are dealt with. That's what average Nigerian politician will do. But now, if the Supreme Court nullifies Tinubu's election, he can't do them anything. Can't do that. If they nullify his election because of certificate forgery that we're talking about here, that's the end of the road. He will pack his bags and leave the villa. He will not be in a position to victimize anybody. That is the fact. So don't give up on the Supreme Court that they won't, that they are not going to do anything different from what the tribunal did. No, the Supreme Courts have, in many instances, shown courage in this country, which I don't have to rehearse here. So, but all in all, what happened, what is coming out from Chicago, shows that Atiku Abakar is about to hit, get the game changer, because this denial, no matter how you look at it, is a game changer, because nobody issues a certificate and then begin to cast doubt about the same certificate. It's not done anywhere. Common sense shows that whenever anybody who is an issuing authority begin to doubt his own document, it is evidence of rejection of the document. That is my understanding. It's common sense. So while we await the university to specifically reject or accept this certificate, if they continue to stand the way they are standing, that they cannot authenticate, to me, it is enough. It is enough. If they can put it in writing, it is enough. It should be enough for the Supreme Court of Nigeria to know that the certificate that was given to INEC is fake, because the university failed to authenticate it. But it is now left for the justices to agree with me or not, or agree with people who would think the way I'm thinking about it. That is it. But we have not yet heard the last about this Tinubu's Chicago State University certificate. We're going to hear more about it, and more will be revealed by October, when the FBI, the CIA, the State Department, the IRS, when they release their dossiers on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Much more will come out in October, and we look forward to all that. Thank you for watching this video, and if you are new to my channel and you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, God will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.